think the biggest concern from a financial executive perspective is around deficiencies and material weaknesses. Really what they want to try and understand is my control process good? Is it sound? Do I have any issues that need to be reported? And so the thing is, it's underlying all of that is a lot of manual activity, a lot of time, and a lot of effort that goes into that. And so the problem becomes that manual activity is prone for errors, is prone for weaknesses and things that could go wrong. So they're trying to make sure that they're confident in their reporting, but are they really confident in the process that underlies all of that reporting? That's the biggest concern. So yes, technology has definitely advanced. And one of the things is it's impacted the control process because you have things like cloud-based applications that are really dividing business processes. So they've become an integral part of the control process. But the problem is, I think the control process itself has kind of stayed the same, meaning it's always been about potential issue. It's been about looking at the fact that I have users who can create a vendor and can pay a vendor. But really what I want to know, what the true essence of a risk is did the user create and pay the same vendor in that example? And so the problem with the advancement in technology is it's made it harder to figure that out. So while it's embedded in that process, it's really making it harder, and the technology hasn't adapted or evolved over the time in organizations to be able to address that new concern. So some of the leading companies, some of the best things that people are doing is making that transition. They're making a transition from potential risk, which says something bad could have happened in my organization, and I just want to make sure I minimize that. So it's a very preventative kind of conversation. But what they're doing is really shifting over to a detective mode of that with 100% automation to be able to say, it's not about something that could go wrong. It's not about a bad thing that could happen. It's about here are the actual instances where material violations, material weaknesses, material deficiencies across my control process have actually happened. And by being able to look at that information, I can now see something that's more business relevant. It's not just checking a box for audit and compliance anymore. It's actually checking a box, but it's providing a business benefit by being able to say materially, here's what's important and here's what you need to focus on. For a finance executive to be able to take advantage of all of this, really, the intersection becomes that you have an internal control process which is meant to help you say with reasonable certainty that everything is going good within the organization. And you have a GRC process that's meant to provide governance, risk, and compliance activities and monitoring across those processes. Now, if you actually smash those two together, the old way of looking at things is to say, I know where all my potential risk exists. And while that was good for checking that audit and compliance box, it wasn't good for a financial executive because all it did was check a box. It made no business impact. And so what you want to do is have a business impact. And by being able to then say, where are internal controls for financial reporting, as an example, something that can actually return value to the organization? And by looking at materially what happened, by knowing, hey, James created vendor A and paid them $100,000 and did this 10 times. Okay, now I'm able to see the dollar value exposure. I'm able to see what the business impact was for that transaction. And now I'm able to materiality-wise understand what that means to my organization. It's no longer about I checked a box that James shouldn't do bad things. It's about being able to see financially the bottom line business impact that had on the organization. And so for a financial executive, taking governance, risk, and compliance, but really applying that to internal controls for financial reporting will allow them to look beyond the potential, beyond risks that might exist within their organization, and look to where risk has actually materialized. And it's that which is going to also return value to the business. And that's kind of the big change that those executives should really be looking at.